Good morning. My name is Robert Daly, and I'd like to welcome you to Discover Your Talent. Now, for the next show or two, I'm going to be covering what's called peg loom weaving. You can see some of the pegs here that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to thread one. I'm going to thread one for you now so you can see how I do. This here is a paracord. It's a tool for working with paracord. And as you can see, I've modified it a little bit. The main purpose would be to go through here. It makes threading the peg a lot easier. Now, also, this is a bamboo skewer. Normally they're longer, but I cut this in half because I don't need the entire length. Now, what I'm going to do to begin is I'm going to place the 3 strands of yarn over the widest opening and slowly begin to push them through. This takes some concentration. It's always good when you're doing this that you're looking to relax. If you do this as an activity to promote relaxation, then when the frustration of trying to thread this does erupt periodically, you'll be able to deal with it. Now you can see where we are now. I have the long part here, and then I'm going to slowly pull this through. And you can see the yellow part was a little bit problematic, but we figured it out. Now I'm going to take this and put it through here. Now this is what happens when you don't concentrate, when you're doing things. See, I did it the wrong way. So what I have to do, this is all about learning. So what I have to do is I'm going to take this out, and this is the step you want to do. I'm going to put it through here. I'm going to pick up my yarn again, and I'm going to sort it out. Now, what I'm going to do is put the yarn one more time over the widest opening, and I'm going to introduce it into here. This can be potentially very frustrating, but when you finally get it done, it's a good feeling. Now I'm checking to see the blue is not through yet, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to introduce the blue. Now you can see the frayed edges on these strands of yarn. That results because I've tried to put them through once before, so I have to be patient and go slow. But here we have a successful completion. Okay, now I'm going to pull this through and stop. I'm going to put my finger through here and separate, and then up. There you go. There you see it. The strands are out. I'm going to take my tool and put it over here, and I'm going to line these up one more time. I'm concerned about the frayed edges, so I'm going to snip them off. And what I'm going to do is, I have a pliers here. I'm going to use the pliers as a safety measure. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut them off. Okay, we now have ends that are not that are solid, they're not stranded. I'm going to put my tools off to the side. When you're using tools for these projects, caution is your best friend. Now, Now the next step is I'm going to look for the other end of the yarn. I'm going to pull this through. I'm going to pull this through and make this as even as possible. Okay. Like this. Okay. Then I'm going to take this. I don't want any slack in the lines. So I'm looking and I'm seeing that right about here at this point would be the best place to make the cut. Again, I get ready to cut the line in a safe fashion. And I'm done. I put my tools out to the side so I have a free and clear work area. And I'm going to introduce a knot to seal this. And I'm going to pull it tight. And then the next step would be to put it into the peg loom. Now this bubbles and flourishes. Okay. Now this is what it looks like when you have 6 strands all lined up and ready to go. Some of these look like this when you wrap them around the peg when you make them up ahead. That's what happens. Now this is the peg loom base here. I happen to get lucky. I found these at a local craft store, and I bought a couple of them. This is only one piece. I have this duct tape to my table, so you could if you chose to do this, you could duct tape this to a table, but you have to be careful about the table's surface. It has to be a solid surface, unpainted. Yes, when you pull the tape up, you run the risk of it taking the surface. You don't want to do that. Here comes the good part. I chose this yarn here. I don't really know the color, but I'm going to, this is 4 strands right here. So what I'm going to do, see, I'm right-handed, so what I'm going to do is put the ball off on the floor, and then I'm going to start weaving. And this is just a simple figure 8 pattern that I'm doing. I had looked at the process of crochet or knitting or macrame, and I had dabbled in some of it, and I found the task to be daunting. So I backed away and I didn't pursue it. But then I happened to see this online, and I watched as many videos on this subject as I could, and I began to do this, and I began to enjoy it. This is basically a repetitive motion. Now, when maybe late at night you can't sleep, and it's almost impossible to work at sleeping, so you get up, or I get up and I do this, have this set up in my kitchen. I do this. You can see how fast this is mounting up. It's I like doing this. It's like something, if I have a dull moment at my house or an empty moment, I won't let that happen anymore. I take this and I start weaving along. Now, you won't see this one to completion today. I'll have it in the next segment, but at least I thought I'd start it. Now, one interesting thing when you do this is that the mistakes are easy to find or see, because the pattern is so simple. And so it allows for the beginner, somebody with a little less confidence, you can backtrack. I mean, I can backtrack all of this just like this if I find an error, and I can start over again. Now, my basic intention for starting this was to assist my mind in the process of regulation. What happens when you're doing this? Your mind is thinking about what you're doing. It's translating the message down to your hands, and your hands are performing the work that your brain formulates. So this is something that's positive to do. And you can see how fast it's mounting up. Okay, I'm going to move this forward. I'm pulling it through, and I'm putting it down and reinserting it behind and into the hole. Now you can see how this looks, and yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start again. Now, when I first started doing this, I would only use one strand of yarn, and the one strand of yarn here and one strand of yarn here. It's very fragile when you do that. I have 3 strands that I doubled over, so I'm now working with 6. And you can see, you can put your favorite music on, you can do this in silence, but this stuff just adds up. It keeps going and going and going. You'll see in the intro of the show that there's many multicolored balls of yarn. What I like to do is to go to one of the big box yarn stores and find color combinations that I think might work, and I'll take them home and I'll group them together. And I started doing it with just 3 skeins of yarn of different color, and then I started looking for the skeins of yarn that have the various different colors, and it caused all sorts of patterns to come forth in the scarves that I'm making, and it's really exciting. When you're working with this, it's a lot easier, I find, to start in the middle, because on this side and this side are where the tension is. Okay, and then you see how this is the last one right here. Before I pull this peg, I'm going to introduce it this way into the path of weaving, so it doesn't come unraveled as I go. Okay, now I've got to pull this I pull this down some. Pull this up some. I'm trying to be able to show you the pattern here. And this will cooperate. Okay. I'm putting tension on the piece so that it will do what I need it to do. Now this is very preliminary, but as you work with it, it acquires a different texture. It gets thicker. When you have more colors on it, the colors begin to explode. You begin to see patterns. That's the fun part of it. So. I'm starting this in a multiple of 6, because if you use 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then when you tie it off afterwards, when you tie the ends off afterwards, it'll be easier to tie them off evenly. Like I said, I'll have this with me next time, and you'll see how it finished. The one thing that I find is the one drawback to just doing this for me is that I haven't done it yet, but you can see me scratching my nose. There's lint or dust particles that come off of this when you work with it, and that can cause some distress, and it can take away from your concentration. Okay. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to move this out of the way before I pull the last peg out. Okay. Okay, there you go. Okay. I use acrylic yarn because I want to be able to have a creation that will survive a trip to the washing machine. If I use different kinds of yarns, their ability to be washed, I believe, is compromised. If I make this for somebody, I want them to just be able to not be afraid to wash it. So that's why I stick to acrylics. And I just don't frequent one store. I go to discount stores, I go to big box stores, and I get to know their stock. Some have large skeins of yarn for a good price, and some have variegated colors. Each store that you look for your yarn in has a different thing to offer. Okay, again, I'm going to introduce this like this. I'm going to pull this out. Now, even like this, you can see the various different patterns that occur. And if you have colors in this, the patterns take on a whole new identity. It's amazing how you'll have a ball of yarn, and it'll have several different colors in it, and it just looks like a ball of yarn. But when you do something like this, the patterns that emerge out of one ball of yarn, one skein of yarn, are very interesting. I enjoy being creative. This in a sense is also like painting with yarn. Okay. Pressing it down a little bit. Now, I've been doing this for a while, and if you do it for a while, you have to begin to watch for the errors. Now, this is just a small project, so the likelihood of errors is reduced. But if you go this way, the more pegs you add, the more possibility for error crops up. Okay. I'm going to take this one last time. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this piece off because they tell me I'm just about out of time. So I'm going to tie this off. Remember, when you use one of these, caution is your best friend. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around like this, and one more time come around like, see? Patience. Okay, there you go. Just like this. And then I'm going to pull the last one out, And as I come to a close for today, I wanted to thank West Hartford Community Initiative for providing me this opportunity. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. Working here with the staff, and I've been mentored well, and it's built my confidence. This is the first, as I said, this is my first show, but I'll be back. I'll be back next month, and this will be completed, and I will go from 6 unto 12 of these, so it'll be out here. And as I go farther forward, I hope to be showing you blankets that I make. I'll show you the completed scarf, but hopefully show you the blankets. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Have a good Christmas season. Thank you.